Continuing coverage now on the 6-month mark since the deadliest wildfire in California history.
KTVU's Frank Somerville joins us now once again from Paradise, where there are signs, Frank, of some progress.
Yeah, there are, but there is still just so much devastation, Heather. We're inside what used to be a business. It was a young family. They leased out this building. They had an internet business. I mean, you come in here and you got this burned out chair here, file cabinet over here. It's just everywhere you look. Everywhere you look, there is devastation. 14,000 homes destroyed, 18,000 buildings altogether, so many lives affected. And we got up here this morning and we drove through several neighborhoods of Paradise. And again, all you saw was destruction. But in one location, we found two really cool signs of progress. One of the things that you notice is so many of the lots haven't been cleared yet, and there are cars everywhere. And when you look at the car here and you see the engine literally melted, it just reminds you of what was going on here 6 months ago. The just complete devastation of the fire. And it's one thing to see it in pictures, it's one thing to read about it, but when you're actually here and you actually see it, it's just remarkable. But then, as bad as it is, look at what we found. In the middle of all of this, look what we have here. A beautiful rose that's just about to bloom. I mean, who would have thought? And then it gets even better. I want to show you something. I think this is just the coolest thing up here. There's a guy from Los Angeles, works for Disney. He's an illustrator. And he comes up, and here's what he does. He paints some of the wreckage. He painted that. He's painted chimneys. He's painted burned out cars. So in the middle of all of this destruction, you have that. Isn't that great? It really is beautiful what he's done. Some of the paintings are just spectacular. So now we're outside. This is the outside of the building. But again, I keep talking over and over about the destruction. If you look up here, you've got a burned out car there. You got more burned out homes. But can we just pan around here really fast? This is the house that we were showing you earlier, where you can see they're building a house. So there is some progress going on here. And since the fire 6 months ago, 150 businesses have reopened. And Tom Vakar has that part of our report now.
6 months after the fire, as you drive around Paradise, it appears at first blush that much of the debris remains, suggesting that a truly mind-boggling task has only begun. 95% of the housing stock was lost, 14,000 homes and apartments.
We had a housing crisis even before the fire, and so adding 26,000 people to that crisis has been really difficult.
The business community, 2,000 strong before the fire, was also decimated.
80% of the businesses were destroyed.
6 months after the campfire, the real business of Paradise right now is being rebuilt from its ashes.
We have about 150 businesses that are back in business in Paradise, and we know that because our wonderful Paradise Ridge Chamber of Commerce went and did a door-to-door survey.
And everywhere you look, crews are clearing debris, removing concrete foundations, trucking away burned vehicles, replacing infrastructure, all of them coming here to build.
We have thousands and thousands of workers who are here doing debris removal, removing trees, doing work on the roads, working on the water system. So we have thousands of workers that are here during the day.
And all those workers need products and services local businesses can supply.
What we have found, many of the businesses that come back have said, wow, we're busier than we were before the fire.
Businesswoman Nikki Jones lost it all. 2 homes, 2 businesses, and a commercial building. But she's not going to take the insurance money and run.
I'm investing in our town. I want to be part of the rebuild, and Paradise is my home.
Ms. Jones has already reopened Bobby's Boutique, a woman's clothing and jewelry store. And right next door, she's getting permits for a restaurant and bar to be called Nick's.
We have a lot of loyal customers. We have returning customers, but we also have people that simply want to come up to Paradise and support our town. And they are doing that by spending their dollars here.
Bill Lyons, 30 years in business, stayed and fought the fire to save his oil change business.
So we've got people coming in from Sacramento, we've got people coming in from Redding, Corning, Orland. I had somebody the other day that drove almost 400 miles to get here, and they said we had the opportunity to change the oil where we were at, but we decided we want to come up here and keep you guys going.
Now recovery, delayed by brutal winter rains, is shifting into high gear, improving business here.
We have 141 crews doing debris removal right now from our state program. Every day, working 6 days a week, 12-hour days, getting this done. And by May 15th, we're going to have 160 crews on the ground every single day.
With only 2,200 of the 14,000 lots cleaned up, with only 13 residential building permits issued so far, and with only 100 of 400,000 dead or dying trees removed, work will go on for years.
This disaster is unprecedented in that nearly an entire town has been destroyed.
And consider this, with the new climate normal, Paradise will be both a laboratory and a test bed for how to rebuild a town. Tom Vakar, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
And once again, just to put all of this in perspective, before the fire, the population of Paradise was 26,000. It's probably about 1,000 now. So at 5 o'clock, we're going to talk to the mayor. She also lost her house, and I want to talk particularly about how she thinks Paradise, what it's going to look like in 5 years. How many people are going to come back, the process. She's going to talk to us at 5, so our coverage will continue then. Alex, Heather?
All right, looking forward to that interview, Frank. Thank you very much.
Yeah, just those small signs of hope that Frank was pointing out there. For more on all of this, we're joined now here in studio by former FEMA coordinator Mark Nouveau. Mark, thanks for coming in today. 6 months after that disaster in Butte County, and you know, as Frank showed us there, you still have thousands and thousands of burned out lots, and things sort of just still the way they were 6 months ago after that fire. What is your take on the pace of the debris removal and the cleanup?
Yeah. Well, they're moving fairly quickly. Now, if you're involved in that, it certainly doesn't seem like that. You know, you've lost your home and you've probably lost loved ones, the number one stressors that you can go through in life. So very, very difficult. But what they are doing is they've got to get through hazardous materials, they've got to get the debris cleaned up, they've got to take care of all the debris and move it to a different location. They can't truck it. It's, you know, 2-3 hours of trucking. They've got hundreds of crews up there already working. What we do know is that about 95% of the people who lost their homes are in transitional housing now. So they've found a place to live. So that's first and foremost good. There's about $84 million that have been distributed to 8,000 families up in that area to help them with clothing, food, you know, the funerals. 55 funerals have been funded by the federal government in aid. So there is stuff that's taken place, but it's going to take some time. That's hard, I know, if you're one of the survivors.
Yeah. We were talking about the role of the federal government, and it hasn't ended yet. No. It is going to continue. Talk a little bit about what FEMA is continuing to provide for these survivors.
Yeah, what they do is they partner with the state. It's called a Unified Coordination Group. They got a federal coordinating officer from FEMA that's there. They also have somebody from the state that's also there, and they're the leaders of what's taking place. And so they go through, and I saw the plan yesterday, and the list of objectives that they still have left to go through is surmountable. FEMA, they're going to be there for years, one way or another. They may tailor down the staffing at some point, but they're providing funding, they're providing expertise, technical assistance, so they're partnered very well with the state, solving the water problem, the environmental problem. You know, there's a number of things that come after a fire. It's not just simply clearing the lot. You got to rebuild the infrastructure, like you were talking about a break.
Yeah, and there have been quite a few setbacks too. You know, Frank referenced the wet winter that we had with the rains, and that really slowed down the cleanup process. And then you had, again, as you said, the issue with toxins in the water. As you look forward here, Mark, what is your perspective on how long it will take to rebuild that community, and whether Paradise ever really looks the same?
Yep. What I have seen, and this isn't conjecture, I've seen this happen in other communities, that after a disaster of this magnitude, the community comes back better. It's built better, it's newer infrastructure, people have a sense of pride, they've gone through this tremendously emotional turmoil that bonds them together. They have the opportunity to create a vision for their community. So we come back here in about 3, 4 years, 5 years, you're going to see a wonderful community, much different than what we see now. But it's going to take time, no question.
Got to have patience.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hope you're right about that. Thanks so much, Mark. Appreciate your time.